in a lot of ways. Once he and I got together, I knew that the combination was going to be magical.
We've had an unbelievable chemistry.
Really?
Sitting next to me right now is the best singer in the world.
The internet says Brandy finally revealed Whitney Houston's last secret after Clive Davis died. The problem, for years, that story wasn't even true, and even now, the biggest mystery still hasn't been solved. Because here's what's crazy. People have spent over a decade trying to figure out what Whitney wrote on one tiny piece of paper. Every few months, another YouTube video pops up claiming Brandy finally exposed the truth. Another headline promises to reveal the shocking message. Another thumbnail says the mystery has finally been solved. Except Brandy has refused to tell anyone. Not her fans, not reporters, not even after all these years. In this video, we're going to break down what really happened the day Whitney handed Brandy that handwritten note. Why that moment became even more emotional after Whitney's death, and what Brandy finally revealed in her memoir that changes the way people look at their relationship. But here's the question that keeps this story alive. If Brandy has protected that note for more than a decade, what could possibly be written inside that makes it so personal that she'd rather disappoint millions of fans than let them read it? Stick around, because by the end of this video you'll understand why this isn't really a story about a secret note. It's a story about loyalty. Now let's go back to the beginning. Long before Whitney Houston became Brandy's mentor, she was her hero. We're talking about the kind of hero you dream about meeting as a kid. Brandy has said she fell in love with Whitney's voice when she was just 7 years old. Imagine that. A little girl listening to Greatest Love of All and having no idea that one day she'd actually become friends with the woman singing it. It almost sounds like a movie, and honestly, it kind of was. When Brandy was around 12 years old, she managed to get backstage during a television taping where BB and CeCe Winans were performing. She had one goal: meet Whitney Houston. She was so determined that she asked if they could actually call Whitney on the phone. Believe it or not, they did. That moment stayed with Brandy forever. A few years later, they finally met in person backstage at the Kids' Choice Awards. And here's something a lot of people don't know. Brandy was so overwhelmed that she literally ran away crying.
When I was a young girl at 14, I dreamt of meeting Whitney Houston. That was my dream, meeting her, working with her something, you know. And so that was the moment that they captured. That was my first time meeting her. And I don't know what made me run away from her like that, but
I don't blame you.
But it was surreal. I couldn't believe it. She just made me feel like she knew me my whole life.
That's how much Whitney meant to her. She wasn't meeting another celebrity. She was meeting the person who inspired her to sing in the first place. Then everything changed. Just 2 years later, Whitney made one decision that completely changed Brandy's career. She handpicked her to play Cinderella. Think about how huge that was. Whitney Houston could have chosen almost anybody. Instead, she chose Brandy. Together they starred in the 1997 version of Cinderella, with Whitney playing the fairy godmother. The movie became a cultural moment. For a whole generation, seeing a black Cinderella wasn't just entertainment. It was representation. Kids who had never seen themselves in a classic fairy tale suddenly could. But the movie wasn't the biggest gift Whitney gave Brandy. It was everything that happened afterward. Whitney didn't disappear once filming ended. She stayed in Brandy's life. She checked on her. She gave her advice. She celebrated her wins. She warned her about fame. Brandy has described Whitney almost like a real-life fairy godmother. Not someone who simply opened one door, but someone who kept showing up whenever life became difficult. She once wrote that Whitney invested in her future in a way that went far beyond music. That's a powerful statement, because in an industry where relationships often disappear the moment cameras stop rolling, Whitney stayed. Years passed. Both women experienced incredible success. Both experienced painful struggles, and somehow their bond only became stronger. Which is exactly why what happened in February 2012 became so heartbreaking. Neither of them knew it at the time, but they were about to have one final conversation, one final hug, and one handwritten note get poked up that Brandy still refuses to share with the world. Now here's the part that almost nobody talks about. Most people focus on the note. They ask, what did Whitney write? But honestly, the note might not have been the most important thing Whitney gave Brandy that weekend. It was their last conversation. Because after Whitney handed Brandy that handwritten note, the two of them talked on the phone later that night. Not for 10 minutes, not for 30 minutes, for almost 3 hours. Just imagine that. Neither of them knew it would be the last time they'd ever hear each other's voice. According to Brandy's memoir, the conversation wasn't really about gossip or celebrity life. It was about the things people usually talk about with someone they completely trust. Their careers, their struggles, the pressure that comes with fame, the mistakes they'd both made, the future. Brandy wrote that Whitney listened to her in a way only someone who had walked the same road could. No judgment, no lectures, just understanding. That's what made Whitney different. She wasn't talking to Brandy like a superstar talking to a younger artist. She was talking to her like family. Then Whitney asked her something that would stay with Brandy forever. She said, "Baby girl, what did I tell you all those years ago when you were just a little girl begging to meet me?" Brandy already knew the answer. She smiled and repeated Whitney's words. "Never let anyone else tell you who you are." Whitney told her, "That's right." Then she kept going. She asked Brandy what she hoped people would say about her 20 years from now. Would they only remember album sales, awards, chart positions, or would they remember what she actually did with the voice God gave her? That's such a powerful question, because Whitney had already lived through both sides of fame. She knew what it felt like to be at the very top. She also knew what it felt like to watch people reduce your entire life to headlines. Maybe that's why she kept pushing Brandy toward authenticity. Instead of popularity, she wanted Brandy to build something that would last longer than trends. Then something happened that still gives people chills today. According to Brandy, Whitney looked toward the future with complete confidence. She told her, "I'm gonna be better. You'll see. This is just a season, not the whole story." Reading those words today feels completely different, because we already know how the story ends. Whitney didn't. As far as she was concerned, she still had time. She believed she was going to recover. She believed she was going to write another chapter. She believed she'd see Brandy again the next day. That's what makes this so heartbreaking. Less than 24 hours later, Whitney Houston was gone. She was found dead at the Beverly Hilton Hotel on February 11, 2012, just hours before Clive Davis's annual pre-Grammy Gala. The entire music industry was stunned. Nobody expected to wake up to that news. Now put yourself in Brandy's shoes. The night before, you spend 3 hours talking to your mentor. You're holding a handwritten note she personally gave you. She tells you she's going to be okay. The next day, someone tells you she's gone. How do you even process that? Brandy has said there aren't really words for that kind of grief. She still attended the pre-Grammy event with Monica, but everything had changed. Monica leaned over and whispered something Brandy says she'll never forget. "You know you gained an angel today." At that moment, Brandy couldn't even respond. She said the grief felt like a stone sitting in her throat. She couldn't get the words out, but deep down, she believed Monica was right. That's when the note became something else entirely. It stopped being just a handwritten message. It became the last physical thing Whitney Houston ever placed into Brandy's hands. Maybe that's why she's protected it for all these years. Not because she's trying to create mystery, not because she's trying to keep fans guessing, but because some memories lose their meaning the moment you turn them into public entertainment. For Brandy, That note isn't content. It isn't a headline. It's the last gift from the woman she called her mentor, her inspiration, and in many ways, her fairy godmother. Now here's what I find the most interesting about this whole story. After all these years, Brandy has actually told us more about that final weekend with Whitney. She just hasn't told us the one thing everybody keeps asking for, the note. When Brandy released her memoir Phases, a lot of people thought this was finally going to be the moment. Fans were convinced she was ready to reveal Whitney's last message. Blogs started making predictions. YouTube channels started making videos. Social media was already acting like the mystery had finally been solved. Then the book came out, and the exact opposite happened. Brandy protected the note all over again. Instead of revealing what Whitney wrote, she talked about what Whitney gave her. There's a difference. She described Whitney as someone who invested in her life long after Cinderella ended, not just as an artist, but as a person. She said Whitney never tried to make her become another Whitney Houston. Instead, she constantly reminded Brandy to become the best version of herself. Honestly, that's probably one of the biggest lessons Whitney ever left behind. Because, let's be real, imagine trying to follow Whitney Houston. Most people would have spent their entire career trying to copy her. Whitney didn't want that. She wanted Brandy to sound like Brandy. She wanted people to remember her own voice, her own story, her own identity. Maybe that's why Brandy has never felt the need to reveal the note. Think about it. The world already knows the most important message Whitney gave her. Never let anyone else tell you who you are. That advice shaped Brandy's entire career. She's repeated it in interviews. She's lived by it. So maybe whatever was written inside that note simply belongs between the two of them. Not every goodbye has to become public. And honestly, that's becoming pretty rare these days. We live in a world where almost everything gets posted online. Private messages become screenshots. Family conversations become podcasts. Celebrity grief becomes content. Brandy chose a different path. She decided one memory was worth protecting, even if millions of people wanted answers. That's probably why fans respect her decision. Sure, people are curious. Who wouldn't be? If one of the greatest singers in history handed someone a handwritten note just hours before her death, of course people want to know what it says. But curiosity doesn't automatically create entitlement. Brandy has never acted like the note belongs to the public, because it doesn't. It belongs to Whitney, and it belongs to her. That's it. Ironically, keeping the note private may have become the greatest tribute she could have given Whitney. She didn't turn it into a book promotion. She didn't auction it. She didn't tease little pieces of it every few years to stay relevant. She simply kept her promise to herself. And that's something you don't see very often in Hollywood, especially today. As for Clive Davis, his name keeps getting dragged into fake headlines because people know it'll get attention. The truth is much simpler. Clive remained close to both Whitney and Brandy throughout their careers, and he was present during those final Grammy weekend events that have since become part of music history. The internet turned that real history into clickbait, but the emotional part of the story was never about Clive Davis in the first place. It was always about Whitney and Brandy. Maybe that's why this story refuses to disappear. Not because there's some shocking secret hidden inside a folded piece of paper, but because everybody wishes they could have one more conversation with someone they loved. One more hug, one more phone call, one more chance to say thank you. Brandy got that chance. She didn't know it would be the last one. None of us ever do. Maybe that's why she's never opened that final chapter for the rest of the world. Some memories aren't valuable because everyone knows them. They're valuable because only two people ever did. And when one of those people is gone, protecting that memory becomes one final act of love. Maybe we'll never know what Whitney Houston wrote on that note. Maybe we were never supposed to, because sometimes the most meaningful words aren't the ones the whole world gets to read. They're the ones that quietly change one person's life forever.